of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Paris down to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
G'day everybody, welcome to the Red Sea podcast. This is the training ground. This is our first ever live training ground, Pete. How you going, man?
Pretty good. I think I'm going to put on a layer of thick skin on just before, just in case anyone doesn't agree with what we say. So, yeah.
Well, this is basically for those who haven't ever watched this live. We usually put a little banner down the bottom saying this is not a live show. Please, don't bother commenting. But this is live. It's a show that is kind of it takes a lot of effort and input and stuff. So we kind of don't know how to navigate live comments and also doing all the work that we're doing. But we're going to try it out today because we've prepped properly. But this is going to be a pre-Atletico show. Now, I think that this is an important one because we've struggled against teams like Atletico. And by the way, so has everybody else. They don't concede many chances. Pete and I were trying to do our analysis. We've got this lovely program where you literally type in chances conceded by Atletico, and we had one page, and that's it. I mean, Liverpool have been pretty good defensively, but Liverpool do have pages of chances against us, at times. But Atletico, not many, Pete.
No, that was quite funny. We were like, let's just put chances, goals conceded, and there was half a page. So then let's put goals conceded and chances conceded, and it was a full page. So, yeah.
Well, having said that, it's kind of a little bit about how we start. We like to start. We like to separate this into three sections. It's basically, what do we know about Atletico and their style of play? How do they like to score goals? And then how do they like to concede goals, considering they don't really concede many? We had to go deep into the archive. So we'll start with part one here. What do we know about them and their style of play, Pete? I want to maybe throw that one to you. And I think that you'll probably need the help of some screenshots that might help you out a little bit, because we can't use the video because of the legal.
No, it's look, what we know so far is that it started last season, but this season they've kind of changed their shape. So they're not playing his traditional 4-4-2, although he did play that against AC Milan. In majority, I think out of the 8 matches they've played this year, 6 times they've played 3-5-2. So that's like they've kind of moved to that, or it's like a 3-4-2-1. It just depends on what they're doing. He's become a bit more possession based at the moment. So he's kind of, because of the players that he has signed, he's kind of adapted his philosophy to the players he signed. So there's so Simeone, instead of a bit more route one, he's now going a bit more possession based. But again, the 2 games he played us last year, he went 4-4-2. So I don't know if he will go back to that just to verse us, but yeah.
Well, the main things here are their formation. We can see it here on the screen if that's come up properly. 3-5-2. So that's how he's been playing, and that's scary for us because he played us, like you said, 4-4-2 last season, and then against AC Milan he also played a 4-4-2. I might try and get that game up in once there's some downtime and I can fiddle around with the on-screen graphics. But that's a 4-4-2 against us 2 seasons ago. It's 4-4-2 against AC Milan in the Champions League, but they conceded a goal there. It's almost like it was the wrong experiment at the wrong time for him, especially wrong time for Liverpool, because I don't know which one we would prefer, because a 3-5-2 turns into a 5 at the back. And I don't know, maybe we should show your board. Should we show your board about how we think they might line up? Because given their style of play, they're going to be compact, they're going to be stubborn. And we watched a couple of their matches. We watched their matches against, Barcelona was the most interesting, considering Barcelona are tiki-taka. They were just so stubborn, and they just compress to one side of the pitch and lock you in. And that will come to how you can, kind of exploit that. But this was kind of what we saw. This is the 3-5-2 in action. And I thought that we might predict a little bit of what their lineup's going to be. Having said that, what Liverpool's lineup's going to be, and then we can get into, how do Atletico attack us? And then after that, how can we attack them? Because that's what we want to know. How do Liverpool score fucking goals, eh? So this is it, Pete. Explain to us this board you put together with the tactics board. This is the training ground.
So, look, they have a bit of a centre-back issue at the moment with Savage suspended for another couple of games, I believe. Jimenez picked up an injury in the international break. There's also an injury with Llorente, but apparently he may be fit enough to be on the bench. So, the adjustments I've made on the board are basically what I just logically think that what will happen, and also on the research through, a lot of the pages predicting the Atletico lineup. So a lot of the predictions are coming out after his press conference and after all the information released that he will be playing 3-5-2. So don't shoot us if it's not 3-5-2. We're going basing off the information we picked up on. But Kondogbia is the favoured replacement centre back in the back three. Hermoso stays in his familiar role, same as Felipe. Hermoso is actually quite good at bringing the ball out and carrying the ball. He's actually, I guess, their Matip at the moment. So he's having a good season. The midfield with new signing DePaul, who's defensively excellent. Koke, obviously, is always the engine. Lamar, who's having a top season so far. And Carrasco, he normally plays in that kind of left wing position or left wing back position because he is a winger and he's good at attacking. Yeah, he's the one who, I guess, a bit more of the outlet, whereas Trippier, because Llorente is out, I think Trippier gets a nod. And obviously, being English against an English opponent, maybe he favours that. And the only question I have really is, does Griezmann play or does Felix play? But I've chosen Griezmann truly because it's a big occasion.
Can I ask you here? We usually do these shows one after the other. Tactics. All the way through to the end. But I do want to bring in Rye Mental here because this is a question for you, Pete. We might both be able to answer this. Do we rate Simeone as a coach? It's very interesting because he's right. It is totally different to the football that we like to see. But this guy's been doing this now for how long? Has Simeone been at Atletico? It feels like 5 or 6 years almost, at least. He was a lovely footballer to watch, by the way. He was an absolute mad dog from what I remember. But this is incredible what he's done with this Atletico side. If you had to ask me very quickly on the spot, I absolutely rate him.
I mean, I wouldn't want Liverpool being so defensive-minded because my flavour personally is attack is the best form of defence. I truly believe, attack. But, I mean, we can't say he's not good. I mean, he's unbelievable. He won the La Liga whilst Real Madrid and Barcelona were a lot better than what they are now. So he's taken them to a Champions League final. He's been competing with peak Real Madrid for most of the time. I think he's an excellent manager because he's not just sometimes these defensive minded managers, they come in, they're like flavor of the month and then they disappear. This guy's been consistently there at the top season after season playing his brand, and he does adapt every now and then. Like I said, this year he's changed to a bit more possession based. The formations even changed, so it shows that he's actually a good manager to see what he's got on paper and how he adapts to the games.
Well, I want us to go now that we kind of know what formation they're going to have, but very, very quickly what we think is going to happen with our team. We're going with a obviously 4-3-3 like usual. It looks like we're keeping our centre backs as is. I mean, Matip could always change to Gomez. It doesn't look like Konate is going to play, but standard fullbacks. I mean, we flirted with Tsimikas, but it just looks like it's going to be Andy Robertson every single game till the end of the season. We're going to have Fabinho's back, obviously, with Alisson. You've gone with Henderson, Keita. I mean, Henderson's got to start, so that's pretty key. It looks like Keita might be the variable. Keita played really well against Watford, by the way, but I also thought James Milner I thought he was excellent. Really, really good. Just did lots of jobs putting out fires, and I love that run from midfield. It just showed I said to you, we keep forgetting 16 years old, he makes his debut for Leeds United as a winger. So he's got that in his head. He knows how to make those runs beyond the front line, which is what we want. It's just a pity the only player that likes to make those runs for us is a 36-year-old or 35, whatever he is. And then the front three, we're going with Jota, or it could be Firmino, but we're just going to do this for now. This is what we think, safe to say.
Yeah, look, I only say Jota because he didn't play versus Watford. And I think the goals that we kind of can score, Jota has scored already this season so far.
Mm.
And again, I mean, Klopp's got the difficult decision, not us. I mean, we have a computer screen and a little ball to muck around with and say, no matter what happens, there's no consequences for us. Whereas Klopp has to pick between these players. And you know what, Jota starts or Firmino starts. We're lucky that both can play. So for me, great. Whoever plays, awesome. I just think Jota will play because he's fresher.
Well, I want to go to how do they hurt us? Because Atletico, I mean, I think they've scored something like 16 goals in La Liga and conceded 6. So they've conceded the same amount as us, despite what we were saying about them being so, incredible in defense. It doesn't mean they're not. It just means we're also not too bad in defense. But they haven't scored as many as us. So that's But again, we've got this comment here about Suarez being the danger man. When you've got Luis Suarez in your side, you're always going to be a danger.
Anything's possible. Yeah,
and absolutely anything's possible. Pete, I want to ask you, what were one of the things that you maybe wanted to discuss first in terms of how can they attack us? We've got a couple of screenshots. We had this idea of the third man runs. We've got these triangles. Maybe we should look at the triangles because you got a graphic for that.
Yeah. So if you want to pull up the screenshots of just some look where it's Lamar, for example, this season has been absolutely excellent in making runs in behind from midfield. Where I'm a little bit worried is that he is on Henderson's side, and not again. This isn't like a Henderson thing, but we can all kind of be honest with each other and say that this season defensively he hasn't been at his ultimate best, which we've seen him absolutely dominate players and teams on his own. So you go back to AC Milan, the Brentford. Even Manchester City games, he was a little bit slower in tracking back his runners. So, Lamar on his side at the moment is the one, or funnily enough, he's the guy on screen right now, making that run in midfield, from midfield in behind. And by the way, Lamar scores this goal. So we do need to be very wary of the late midfield runs.
So is this Suarez that's playing in Lamar here? Or is it Griezmann? But
I think that's Suarez on my screen. You probably got a bit more clear on your screen.
You know what? I can tell by the foot style. If we can zoom in on it, that looks like Suarez, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's Louis. That's definitely Louis.
Yeah. But this is the thing, is that he holds up the ball. I don't know if you want to show the graphic of how this goal kind of happens, but they play it into Suarez's feet. And then he knocks it off, and there's a 1-2, and then Lamar makes the third man run, and he goes through. This is against Barcelona, by the way, where it's kind of like Atletico pick their moment. And then we kind of see the exact same thing happen if we go into the Lamar run again. This is Thomas Lamar here. I don't know if I can actually do this. I think I might be able to do a little bit of jiggery pokery with the pen. This is Lamar here. He plays it into Suarez's feet. And Suarez holds up. Look at Suarez here. I don't know if we can look at Suarez there. Strength. And then it's Lamar that comes in over there and scores with his right foot. So Lamar's run goes all the way around. This is Thomas Lamar, the player that we were supposed to sign. We didn't. He went to Atletico and sat on the bench for half a season. He was an absolute flop at the beginning of his career. Total research. I'm not sure if this year is the resurgence, but he's incredible this season.
Yeah, and again, it's the relationship with Suarez that's working late from midfield. And there's also, I think, another screenshot there, George, from wide, where there's a player running in behind or would be Trent, where he's going to be. I think it's the attacking run area there, but it's clearly a game plan, because Suarez is absolutely unbelievable at holding up play and backing up into defenders. And because the scariest part is once he backs up into you, he can lay it off and play, but at the same time, he can just turn you like without even knowing that you're there. And he'll probably put it through your legs, run around you, flick it around you, pop your head and scissor kick it somewhere. He's just got that ability to do something magical. So we've got to be, I think I agree with the comments in here in terms of frustrating Suarez. Yeah, that's the run there. And that run happens through a bit of build-up, which I know I've got something prepared for everybody to show you, their new style of build-up. But it's we just got to be a bit more careful on the break and the runs from midfield. Otherwise, they're not going to give us too many more problems, because if they want to go direct, which they still do when it's on, Van Dijk, Matip, no problem. It's all good. You know what I mean? And Fabinho, I'm not concerned at all. We just got to be wary how quickly they can break off the counter, and more so tracking the runs from midfield. I've said this for the past 6 fucking weeks on this show, and we haven't done it enough. So we've got to be very wary of tracking the midfielders.
Okay, so having said that, this is kind of how they attack us. There's a couple of things that we had there. It's this idea of Suarez backing into the defender and then receiving the ball to feet and then not being able to, get the ball off him. By the way, I saw him doing this in the Argentina-Uruguay game, and he did that. He backed into the player. He kept him, and he was so strong. The guy couldn't get the ball. And then the defender pulled his leg just in front of Suarez, and Suarez held his face, jumped up in the air, and got the free kick. And it's just like these two aspects to Luis Suarez. He's this absolute tank that you can't dispossess. If he feels a touch from you, he's going down. So that's what we've got to be careful about. I remember Fabinho
Answer this question
early
then,
on.
George. Answer this question then.
Just a question regarding Suarez. We actually, by the way, we said this on the, I'll just answer this very quickly. I want us to boo him. I mean, we're going to be at their place, but I want us to boo him, and I want us to, if he gets frustrated, I want us to just keep, and then after the game, let's shake hands and say, "Used to love you, Louis. You're awesome." I've got no problem with that, because what I saw, by the way, he scores against Barcelona, and he does this to say sorry. He does the prayer thing when he scores against Barcelona last week or the week before. And I was just thinking, when he scored against us, he went like a clown. He went around celebrating to everybody in the stands. It was unbelievable. So, yeah, he didn't show us that respect, so we shouldn't show him the respect. I remember him after the game saying this was a tough atmosphere when he was at Liverpool, when he was at Anfield, and we beat them 4-0 and basically caused the destruction of his so beloved club, Barcelona. You know what, Luis Suarez? Just like you, what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch. We're going to boo you. We're going to treat you like the enemy. As soon as the game ends, we'll start remembering you for your 1 year that you had at Liverpool. Yeah, you're nothing on Luis Suarez, in my opinion. Anyway, that's my thought process. You're nothing on Mo Salah, I meant to say. Nothing on Mo Salah. Anyway, that's so in terms of summarizing the threats from Atletico, it's Suarez backing in. It's those little triangles they can play with the third attacking run from Lamar. And actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to go to the Barcelona game. If you look at the average positions very quickly, I'm pretty sure this is Lamar. So remember, they're playing in a 3. You can kind of see it there, a 3-5-2. I mean, if you do want to see it in action, there it is here on the left-hand side. There's 3 at the back. There you've got the 4 in midfield. Koke is your defensive midfielder, but Lamar is a left center mid, if that makes sense to everybody. But look at where his average position is behind the strikers. He's an attacking midfielder, is my point. He's at the tip of like almost a diamond in there, and he's the one making the runs, and he's the one that is combining with whoever the strikers are. That's Felix there and Luis Suarez. He's the one that's making those late runs. So I think that's something we have to be wary of. The other thing is, like you said, we had that one screenshot of the ball over the top, and just exposing that space that maybe can be left by our fullbacks. But let's go to this graphic here. You're just going to show us a little bit about what is this? This is one of their attacking movements, right?
So look, the reason why Lamar has that freedom though is because the Paul is defensively like a mini Mascherano, and obviously Koke is their main man with the ball. So I just think the reason why Lamar has this real freedom that you're talking about is that purely because the 2 people behind him do such a good job at defending and keeping the ball alive. But going to so in terms of build-up, right? So I've put this thing up. I've created this little thing here, right? So it starts this way, but
by the way, everybody, you got 5 people watching. This is the most that we've had at the moment for the live. This is the moment. You got to watch this. This is a technology plus. You're not going to get this on any other show. I'm sorry, Pete. I've just talked you up.
Turns out to be wrong. No, but look, it's something that what they will try to do to move our players away to create space in behind, and it basically goes like this. They'll try to create that space there in between to suck in our fullbacks, right? And then once our fullbacks are in, this is where the space goes. And then it's the late runs into the box. It's the Griezmann. It's everybody that tries to get in there. So just that little play there And what we can do, we can go back, and I know that this doesn't necessarily happen automatically straight away like that. Like, I'm not stupid, I get it, but it's this part here that once we've gone out, so our two strikers always press the centre backs, and this time there's three of them, right? So our front three, we completely engaged. The reason they put DePaul and Lamar, they start them wide, is because they think, okay, it's just we need to focus on Coco, right? And then our two midfielders will go press their wing backs because our midfielders always press full backs. It's the way Klopp presses. It's that Gegen press style. And then basically these two will just roll in now. So if we don't track that, George, it becomes a 3v1 on Fabinho. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So and then all of a sudden, hopefully our fullbacks realize that it's, oh crap, they're free or they're going to be free, because he doesn't necessarily, have to play on the floor there. It could play straight to DePaul, it could be straight to Lamar, then we're off, or they're off, I should say. But the second we go in, here's an issue, because then that exactly is what happens. So this is what I mean, what I said earlier, between our midfielders, we've got to be able to track runs, because if they don't, then it is that easy kind of clear pathway into the width. And then next thing you know, from here, it's everybody gets into the box.
And by the way, this is a live action moment of it happening. That's the ball. I mean, we by the way, you did that graphic before we saw this goal. This was the goal this is actually against AC Milan in the Champions League. And there it is. That's Thomas Lamar on the ball there. He plays the ball over the top. And that's one, I don't know who that is, actually. I don't know if that is going to end up being Carrasco on the left wing there, but it is someone. And it could even be their left back that they sometimes play there when they don't play three at the back. But that's it. That's exactly that moment that you're talking about. In the flesh, in the live.
And so basically what you're asking me to do now, George, is say, how do we prevent that from happening?
How do we prevent that from happening, Pete?
I think what I will do is drop everybody off an extra 10 meters, which is what we're not used to doing, but I think we kind of have to. I think we allow Mane and Salah to still press their two centre backs, but this time, instead of having Jota up here, I think we just put Jota back, because we keep Robbo and Carrasco on the two people that would normally narrow in. That's fine. But by doing this, we kind of don't have that freedom where they can kind of find themselves a bit more free with Jota coming in here and blocking the middle area. If you have a look in the middle now, it's 4-4-2. It's 4v3. Because Koke is the one who does here, and Lamar kind of goes that way, or Lamar will come this way, as we said earlier. He will come in here. The Paul will go out here. He will go in here. That's fine. But I think if we just keep these two here, that's fine. Because then again, Mane is 50-50. He's close enough to go to both. Salah the same. Jota, without being here. Sorry, keep going.
No, go.
I'm saying if Jota's here, then Koke can kind of maybe get here to get the ball on either side. But if Jota is the one who's blocking Koke, which Firmino did excellently against Jorginho versus Chelsea before he got injured, we're kind of asking the question now, because if Mane can double up here, Salah can double up here. Robbo he doesn't have to come in and follow now, because Robbo can kind of keep the width, and it's Keita and Henderson now who are still standing 50-50 in between the spaces there to kind of block the passing lanes. And then it's, if they have to commit to one, for example, if Keita, has to commit in here, it's Fabinho that can kind of do that kind of covering role across the back here. So it's something that I think we need to do, is drop everybody an extra 10 meters back and allow the middle player, not Savage is here. I know that we got to get rid of him, but it's this player in the middle here, which will be Kondogbia, to get on that ball. But what we'll do, we'll just, because Savage is gone, let's get Kondogbia, and let's just change that very quickly.
So the one thing that I wanted to ask you is, considering the stuff that you're asking Jota to do there, now we have full faith in Jota evolving into this type of player. Whether he is at Bobby's level right now is a question. That's why I want to bring in Kayed here. Do we think that is purely that feels like a Bobby? That feels like Bobby's job. And I mean, why ask Jota to do the things that we know Bobby's good at? But I mean, we will get to that, because we think that Jota maybe has that killer instinct in the box to pick up the scraps. But it's kind of like maybe Jota can be someone we bring on. But I mean, a lot of people are asking this question. I did want to ask people what you think. If you're watching, by the way, would you start Bobby or Jota? But what about that, Pete? Would Bobby be a good option?
You know my opinion on Bobby. When it comes to Bobby, I'll say putting him at centre back if we could just anywhere just to play him. So yeah, I mean, great. Like I said to you before the show started, I said for me, I don't care which one starts because they're both excellent. So, but in terms of who's going to be better at making sure Coco doesn't get on the ball, yeah, Firmino for sure. But Jota also has that, that he has that kind of that fox in the box presence, if you know what I mean, like to try and get in front of players when the crosses come in, which we can go. And I agree here with the Jota can go missing thing, but there's no reason why we can't take him off or put him on after, with 30 to go. So I think like I said earlier, and Kayed, I agree with you 100%. I think we're just very lucky that either one of them can start and either one of them can come on if needed. I think we got to kind of just accept that, really.
Well, this is where I want to go to now. I want to get into the idea of breaking them down. So this is because we're talking about, do we start Jota over Bobby? And one of the key reasons why we are starting Jota is this idea of let's pick up the scraps. Atletico are going to be compact, and I do want to show compact, the Rafa Benitez word, but this is what we're dealing with. This is their shape. This is their defensive shape. It looks very five at the back. This is what we're going to have to, come up against. We came up against the two banks of four, which is essentially 8 in defense. So sometimes the 5 at the back, Pete, like we saw, I mean, Watford is a very poor example, but it shows what happens when a five at the back goes wrong. You get less space. It is the power of my things. You get less space just in about here. Usually when you do have 4 and then 4, they're kind of all together. But when you play 5 at the back, you can get to a point where those midfielders who are in here, if you do have the 5, those two are kind of having to do a little bit more shuttling. So you do get left with space every so often, kind of like what there is here. But that's if you've got a team that doesn't know what they're doing. Unfortunately, Atletico Madrid know exactly what they're doing. So when you've got that, the question is, how do Liverpool break that down? And that's what we want to go into now, right? How are we going to score? So we want to see ways in which Atletico have conceded, by the way. So for all you guys watching, this is the next part. This is how do Atletico concede goals? And we actually, like we said, we couldn't find, loads of examples of it. But there was this idea of, this was the first one. We saw Barcelona, they didn't score against Atletico, but they created chances. Now, what we just showed then, I showed you the first photo of them tight, pressing on that side. And this is what you were mentioning, Pete, in terms of how Atletico concede a chance. It's when they compress to one side. So if it makes sense here, they compress to this side. Everyone's in that zone. And then this is what Barcelona tried to do. They wanted to then try and bring the play out to the other side very quickly. Now, Liverpool are very good at that because we've got 2 fullbacks who love crossing the ball to each other. We also have Robbo can play the ball back to Van Dijk, who can then play that splitting pass, which we saw in the weekend. That's how Salah's magic goal kind of comes as well. It's actually, Salah's magic goals have come from that a few times. So, yeah, having said that, Pete, this is a way in which we can break them down, switch the ball very quickly.
Yeah, and I think this is where kind of Jota comes into play. And I know that, again, Firmino did score a hat-trick. I mean, I'm not saying anything against Firmino, but I think this is where Jota comes in because the kind of goals we're seeing Jota score this season are from early crosses into the box. And for some reason, he turns 7'2" in when it comes to the penalty area, and he just gets on the end of things like Peter Crouch. But I just think this is why I play Jota more so than anything, purely because of what we're seeing here in this picture. Because we've got a way we've discussed it ourselves off air what we need to do, and then we go back and watch Barcelona, and Barcelona did a poor job at it. Although, again, Barca did dominate possession. Although we did dominate possession, George, a lot of people may forget. The last time we went to Spain to play them, we had 73% possession. We lose 1-0. So
exactly.
So it's something that we've got to be very careful, and not just to have this aimless possession, which Barcelona tend to do a lot of, just to say, we're sticking to our philosophy. Look at us, we pass the ball. But in this moment here, so Coutinho on the ball has delivered the ball from that angle there, which for me, the angle isn't enough to get bent. And so that kind of angle there, if you look at the attackers, there's not enough for them to run onto. What he had to do there, which is play one extra pass out wide to where Trent is going to be. And we know what Trent can do from this area. He's the best in the world in that area in terms of getting something delivered. So, and you can only imagine for those who have played football, what it's like to defend across. If you're running backwards into position, it's the worst position to be in. So if we get that one extra pass across, Atletico Madrid are now shifting as quick as they can to get in position to try and get on the end of a cross or block the cross, deliver or deal with the cross, whatever it's going to be. But it also favors our attackers because that one extra pass allows a midfielder that split second to start his run, getting into the box and hopefully get into a good area. Maybe Naby Keita, could be Jordan Henderson, could be James Milner, whoever's there. But it also allows Mane, Jota, and potentially Salah, depending where he is, to get in position to get on the end of a cross. Because you know what Trent can do, George. Where do you want it? No problem. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is, in this instance, what's happened is, so this is the idea is, how do we, this is how they concede chances. What do we do to capitalize on this? So what's happened is Atletico have gone to this side, and you're saying, let's shift the ball quickly to the other side and get a cross in. So shift the ball here, get it all the way out to Trent here, and Trent's going to put this ball in. And that's why we're playing Jota. I mean, Firmino has scored goals like that, but that's why we're playing Jota. So either one of Mane or Jota with a header from perhaps this Trent cross. The only problem is that we've actually seen this shifting has actually worked a lot better in the opposite direction, if that makes sense. So if it was to happen kind of from here to here, and it goes there, and then it's the cross from Tsimikas that we've got to get Robbo. Robbo's got to take some lessons from Costas, it seems. But that's what we're saying. Now, the problem with this instance with Barcelona is Coutinho did not do that. Coutinho actually just puts the ball in like that, which I don't think we do very often. That's not going to happen. So if this is Jordan Henderson, for example, we're hoping that Henderson here does play, Trent out there. This is the other thing, though. There is a Mohamed Salah spaced hole just there. So Salah's also going to be playing here. So even if this situation does happen and we can split the ball, we can move the ball wide. We've noticed that Mo Salah has actually been around here. So it's going to be, I think Atletico have got an issue there because this hasn't happened before. Salah is playing wider than ever. By the way, I just want to bring up the comments. Tsimikas. How is it, Pete?
It's Tsimikas, not Chimikas, not Simicas, not anything.
Where's the tono though, Pete? We've got to explain the tono. What's a tono? That's the accent. Is it Tsimikas or is it Tsimikas?
Well, I was watching the Greek. I was watching the Greek game against Sweden. It was Tsimikas. So they said it quite quickly. So it's
Tsimikas.
It gets down to interpretation.
And this is what I was saying as well. Jota's heading is crazy good somehow. But that's that idea of we're going to have Salah out there as well. So shifting the ball quickly from side to side, especially if we've got that possession. But this season, we've seen Mo Salah is out there wider. It seems to be a small tactical tweak. We all of us wanted to see him here at center forward, but for some reason he's out here. So that might help us in this shifting, because when we're shifting the ball out to that side, they don't just have Trent to deal with. They don't just have this player. They're going to have also Mo to deal with out there. So that's kind of one way. Was there anything that you wanted to bring out on the tactics board to back
well,
that
yeah,
up?
I've got this picture on the board. Yeah, I've got this already set up. So if you want to have a quick look,
oh, lovely.
We can go through this quite quickly.
Yeah.
So basically, and no, Rymental, it's not Timmy Cass. Let's just end it on that one.
Not Timmy Cass.
So yeah, look on this picture here. So when they get into position, George, is the picture you just showed a bit earlier with all the circles highlighted everywhere. They press with their front two. So their front two will do the pressing when the ball is. How'd that ball get over there? We got to move this little bad boy. When the ball is at the back, they will press with their front two. And if they get lucky and they get one, great. They try hold it up, wait for runners to come late, and then help out, and then go from there. But most of the time, I mean, if you have a look at the connection between our back five there to get through there too, we have a serious issue. Mm-hmm. And we're lucky that Van Dijk, Fabinho, Trent, Matip, all unbelievable passes of the ball. So this should be okay. And I've only put that there to show how easy it should be to play through them. Just a bit of a visual for everybody. So that should be quite easy to get through these moments here. Play through. It's the next one. So let's pretend the ball goes to, we'll put it on Trent's side. Let's put it to Trent. And then, Trent, let me just clear the lines down for everybody. So Trent comes out this way and the ball comes to Trent's side. No problem. So what would happen here is Salah will come across to help, as always. Now, Hermoso won't really get dragged, but what will happen is Carrasco will kind of just try and block the passing lane to Salah, and Lamar is the one who comes across George. So Koke will come in on Henderson, DePaul will come in on Keita. So they're happy to leave Robbo free. So everybody will shift across, try to get into the ping, because don't forget Fabinho is here. So if Fabinho pulls in, what they'll end up doing is that Paul will go on the next one and Trippier will come all the way in, which we've seen on some of the screenshots that during our video analysis before we did the show. So going back to that Barca picture, George, they're happy to leave this person out here free. And hopefully, Mane will come in and everybody. So hopefully he engages, that's going to be, again, Felipe. But yeah, so it's somehow finding a way. Now, it could be as simple as Henderson peeling off or coming in here to try and be level, drags Koke with him. Jota finds a little bit of a space in between, and we play Jota straight through.
Speed. We saw against Chelsea, by the way, him receiving the ball and doing that nice little chop turn. Something that is quite good at. Bobby likes to actually hold the ball up there. Although we have seen Bobby, when he receives the ball there, maybe that little back heel that can possibly, we saw that against Newcastle where he did the back heel to Salah on the way through. So I don't know, Jota's going to have to, do some tricky turning, it seems. A Jota quick turn is something that would be very helpful in this instance.
Yeah, but if you haven't remember, I don't remember if you go back through the videos, how their centre backs do come out and press, they do follow. See, he is something that could be like it, if all things go as planned, George, it's an absolute dream, because if they come out and they do come and press Jota on the ball, Mane, we know he can do that run all day in his dreams. Yeah. It's this next one here. So once that gets played in, we've got to have Keita making that third man run off the ball. Because if Jota can just play Naby Keita there and Mane just attacks that space, then we could kind of see that happen there in an ideal world. And you know what? Let's pretend that doesn't happen and Naby Keita is a little bit slow to react. But Jota is still able to get a ball free. It's that one out there now. Yeah. It's that ball out here to the space. And once it's out here, this is where Salah, Jota, Mane, hopefully Keita is on his way. Henderson at edge of the box if he scores like he did against AC Milan, bit of a volley. But then it's waiting for that there, and which is why I've kind of started Jota, because he's got that nice little, really intelligent movements in here to get on the end of things off a cross. Our biggest problem is this bloke here. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. But
we're the best shot stopper in the world. The best shot stopper.
If you don't have Alisson, you want him. Yeah. It's just as simple as that. He's that good. But yeah, so basically what I'm saying is when they all kind of commit across to try and, because like you said earlier and you showed with your drawing, they literally try and have everybody all on one side and have a look and just block everybody in. And Suarez will come in and try to cut off that passing lane to Matip, and Griezmann will kind of do the in-between stuff where if anything comes loose, he's on the end of it. So if you have a look here, it's potentially because Jordan Henderson has to be able to drag Koke or DePaul with him away. Whether it's here, which we've seen him make that kind of run out wide into this space and Salah kind of rolls in. Mm-hmm. And if Koke does follow all the way, then maybe Salah can get on the ball here, which we know what he can do there at the moment. So, fingers crossed. But it's basically our midfielders, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on them for this game because our midfielders' movement on and off the ball will be the difference. So Henderson just making that run into there to create the space for Jota, Salah, maybe even allow Fabinho to kind of come in and get the ball. Then Fabinho, we know his passing range. He can kind of change it to Robertson. We just got to make sure that to score a goal, to break them down, we need to be, our midfielders really need to be helping us move off the ball.
Well, it's funny that, sorry, excuse me. It's funny that you say that because I do want to go to this, as you said that, creating the space for Salah to do what he does. This is another way that I think that we can break them down. This is so the first one was the shifting from side to side, being really intelligent with how we can get the ball moving quickly from side to side and then just picking the moment to play the ball in. It's also that idea of picking the right moment to play it in. You don't want to shift the ball to the side and then it's not quite the right moment and you lose possession. So we don't want to be getting the ball to Robbo and then it's an aimless cross into the box with nobody there. If that's not on, we should go back Van Dijk switch to the other side, see if it's on. If it's not on, go back. And I think Henderson is so good at that crossfield ball. He's kind of learnt that off Steven Gerrard as he's, been growing up. And I think he's one of the best in our team at doing that back spinning, low rising, driven kind of, lofted pass that can kind of hit our fullback. So it's so great that Henderson, if he plays right center mid, he's got that ball to play to Robbo, so he can even be the one that does that. I probably should have done that on the tactics board, but this is the other way in which Atletico. This is actually how they concede a physical goal. Very rare. It's an actual goal, Pete. This is how they've conceded.
Yeah, they did.
So the thing is with this is that I struggle to remember the name. Do you remember the name of this player here who's got the ball at his feet?
That was Brahim Diaz.
So that's Brahim Diaz. So what happens here is Brahim Diaz gets the ball around here, and he just goes in, out, and he's just dribbling inside the box. Now, it sounds simple enough. Get your best player in the box to dribble it. But this is the thing, is that this player scores. And the idea is that for those of you who remember Mo Salah's goal on the weekend, what is great is that if you watch the Premier League highlights of the goal, you can see Mo Salah completely fucking up the chance before it. He gets the ball on the edge of the box and he tries to do another run, and he actually kind of slips a little bit and he just knocks it off the player. Completely fails at it. But I think it's Naby Keita or Bobby Firmino, one of the two, win it back, and it's Firmino that wins it, that eventually gets the ball off a ricochet with Watford doing their faffing around, and then Salah gets chance number 2, and that's when he scores it, because Bobby gives him the ball and Salah goes, okay, let me try that again. It's that idea, creating the opportunity in which this is going to be Salah, creating the opportunity for him to do his bullshit in the box. Now, he's done it 2 weeks in a row. We couldn't have asked for a better moment to have Salah in this kind of form. And I remember Salah was in good form going into the last Atletico game. I feel like we had players in form, and then that game just kind of stopped us in our tracks a little bit. What I want us to do there is support the player who's doing the tricky shit. Give him support. So what's happening here is that this is, you called him Brahim Diaz. Is that what his name is?
Yeah.
He's doing the tricky shit. It kind of he doesn't fail, but he can't get past this player, and it's this player here that ends up profiting. The ball comes out to there, and that's where the goal comes. Actually, the goal is scored into that corner. Regardless, if we can, I don't want Salah on his own there. We need to find a way. Is it Henderson? Is it Bobby? Bobby always stands behind. If he can, he tries to stand behind Mo, because he knows if Mo loses it, Bobby can be the first one to press. I want us to create a scenario where Bobby and Mo and also Mane out here can get into the box with possession at their feet in Atletico's box, which we didn't do against them last time, and then they can just do their stuff. Once they do it, I want Naby Keita behind Mane. I want Henderson or Firmino behind Salah, and let them dribble in the box, because there's 3 outcomes, Pete. The first one is they dribble and they lose the ball and someone else gets it. That's not too bad. That's kind of what happened on the weekend. That's where Firmino won the ball back against Watford. The second outcome is they get fouled and it's a penalty. So that's a chance for us to score a goal. The third outcome is Mo Salah dribbles 6 players and scores. So either one of those outcomes, we just need to construct, and it's a combination of what you did. Move the ball to the side quickly, because we noticed that on that right-hand side, it's not only Trent, we do have Mo Salah there as well. Getting him inside the box with the ball at his feet is imperative. I think it's a way we can break him down. AC Milan here, as you can see, they figured out a way that they could actually break down Atletico Madrid by just getting Diaz on the ball. And it's incredible what he does, by the way. It's lovely footwork. But that's what I would want us to do.
Well, there's a good comment here again from Kayed, who's been with us all show, and we appreciate your support. It's Trent and Robbo will play a big role in creating chances, and something that you just said, George, in terms of finding that space for Mo, because Trent can do that. Also, Robbo can from the other side. But here's a question. Here's a question from Rye. If you want to answer this one, George.
Yeah. Absolutely. We kind of said that. We kind of said that we want this early, if we're going to shift the ball from side to side, we want someone to be able to deliver the ball early. And now Robbo is very good at delivering the ball early, but I've said this a lot. He's good on the gallop. He needs space in front of him. It's kind of like the way that people shoot. Michael Owen was an incredible striker of the ball when he was standing still. Steven Gerrard was incredible on the gallop because he had those long sort of legs with lots of power in the shot. Same with Robbo and Tsimikas. Tsimikas, futsal style. He puts his foot on the ball, studs on top of the ball, which is the way that Salah's been scoring, by the way. Foot on the ball, and he curls it in. Whereas Robertson bashes the ball in front of him and then whips the ball. So if we're going to be standing still against Atletico, I would prefer Tsimikas' delivery, but we know it's going to be Robbo. Now, Robbo's delivery is still good. We've just seen Tsimikas physically setting up more goals. And because of that standing still delivery, he's also better at corners. That's why we've seen us prosper from corners.
I think I'll answer this one quite quickly, and I'm on your train, by the way. I'm in the same boat as you, but I think, look, Tsimikas' ability to bend the ball around defenders is something that when you're versing a team who's going to stand still with 5 at the back is probably a bit more, I guess, useful, especially for making the smart runs. And if it's an early one in behind, because I truly believe an early ball in behind is the key to this match. Once we find the space to deliver, and like I said, Trent, no need to talk about it, best in the world at doing that. On the other side, sometimes it's hit and miss with Robbo. Sometimes they go for throw-ins, and sometimes they're they're on Salah's head. So I truly do believe, I do believe that Tsimikas, we'll see anyway. I'm not going to try and start a war. But George, look, this question here, this, I guess, statement here from Freeman, if that's the case, then Henderson doesn't play.
No, well, I would do it the opposite. I actually agree with Freeman. I would actually play Milner ahead of Keita. I would play Milner, Henderson, and Fabinho. I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's just it doesn't make too much sense in this moment. Sound like in this situation, sound like a bit like Klopp. But I like the idea of Milner's movement is way better than Keita's, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we saw, if I'm just saying, for example, the RM side, like the right side of the midfield. If this is the case, then I don't want Henderson on the left side, because we saw that game.
No,
I've gone blank.
No.
He was absolutely terrible playing on the left side.
You know what? It was a game where Harvey Elliott was on the right hand side, so it would have been. I don't know if it wasn't Norwich, but it was maybe the
Chelsea.
Game.
I don't know, but it was.
Yeah,
it wasn't good at all. So I agree. Milner is very good at setting Trent free. I totally understand. I just think if that's the case, yeah, great. But that means Henderson is on the bench for me straight away. Like I'm not. You know what I'm trying to say, George?
Well, I would go because Milner drifts. That's the strength of Milner. So if we played Milner, he'd play on the left-hand side. He would cover at left back. Robbo would be the one pumping forward. And by the way, the idea of Tsimikas versus Robbo, this is the thing, is that Trent can do that ball. So Klopp's probably thinking, if I do want that early delivery, I'm just going to shift the ball to the right and get Trent to do that ball, because he knows Robbo can kind of do that ball, but Robbo is also good in behind. Actually, maybe I can have a look at the at this for a quick second, if you allow me control of your board here. It's just that Robbo is physically. Robbo can go here, but Robbo can go there. He can go back and forward and back and forward, and he can get into this position all day. And the thing that I liked is that Milner is so good at doing this where Keita is, but also Milner, we saw, is so good being here. And by the way, the slowest step over in the history of mankind, in the history of football, James Milner can actually beat a player with a step over. It is the slowest one of all time. FIFA have given him 2-star skill moves on FIFA 22. But still, I like Milner in that position. So I would actually prefer Milner in this one because he can make that run beyond. But I wouldn't mind Keita because Keita can kind of do this thing. He can beat a player in here. It hasn't worked for us ever, by the way. Him beating a player usually leads to nothing. But I still don't mind that part of his game. But yeah, anyway, the strength of playing Robbo is he can also give you this run, which I think Tsimikas can give it to you, but he runs out of gas. So Robertson will do that movement, but Trent will do this movement. Trent's doing that one, and Robertson's doing, this one, this large movement. So yeah, I've got no problem with either of those two playing.
And I also love the fact that, we can actually bring Tsimikas on with 20, 30 to go to deliver, something that they're not preparing for because they won't expect it because, they've had Robbo the whole game. But look at this question here, George, if you want to focus on wrapping up the show.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this one? Because I know what I think.
Well, this is what I was going to kind of come to. We want to just kind of wrap up the show here. We kind of looked at what their style of play is here at Atletico. They're 3-5-2. They could play 4-4-2 like they've done in the Champions League before against AC Milan, but they conceded a goal. It was 2-1. They needed a late goal, so I don't think they're going to be trying to do that again. However, having said that, the last time they played us, it was 4-4-2, and it was that two banks of four that Simeone used to frustrate us. So they can do it. We're going for the 3-5-2. We've picked our lineup based on that. Then we looked at ways in which Atletico can hurt us and how we can defend that. Then we looked at ways in which they concede goals. This is the main thing, in my opinion. The way that we can try and score goals to break down their stubborn defense is I think we can shift the ball side to side very quickly. We want that early cross from Trent. We need our midfield to be tracking the runners as well in defense. But also, I like the idea of getting our wingers on the ball, getting our forward players on the ball in the box. I want Salah with his foot on the ball, futsal style in the box. I want Mane also. We could even see a Mane Newcastle special, top corner. All this chat about him not scoring goals from outside the box. Let's get him on the edge of the box, maybe just inside, curling at top corner. I think this game is going to need something like that. The other thing is a scrappy Diogo Jota goal, maybe a header from an early cross. But that's when we come to this one. What do we think is the result going to be from this? What do we think? What would we take going into this game? And just off the bat, I would say I don't mind a draw out of this game.
Look, again, I think in terms of the actual question itself, which game is more important? The next game is the most important game. Always the next game. I don't care who's the game after that. The next game is always the most important game because you can't lose focus because a loss here isn't ideal. I mean, I agree with you, George. I take a draw. 100% I take a draw, especially if it's a draw that one of those boring draws that, we finished the game with 70% possession, but we didn't have to break out of a sweat. Great, because that means we're a bit more, we can kind of recover quicker versus United. But this game is huge. And if we end up getting a win for this game, then my God, like it's actually absolutely sets us up for to come out of that group easily.
Yeah, well, I mean, we want to get your guys' opinions here because we do have you live. We might as well use you. What do you guys think is going to be the score? Those of you in the comments. So I don't know. Can we go for a score prediction? We did have our lineups, by the way. I'm not sure if you want to. I think we're going to stick with those lineups. Sometimes we end up doing our analysis. And we're like, actually, Bobby would have done better here. But I think we're pretty happy with that. The only thing I would do is possibly flirt with Milner. But apart from that, there's also the Oxlade-Chamberlain, the constant question. I tell you what, if he didn't start against Watford, it doesn't look good for him. And by the way, just notice Klopp's comments on the weekend. He goes, James Milner, what a game. Naby Keita, wow, he loved what Naby Keita did, and he said particularly those triangles. And you mentioned it when you looked at your board there. I don't have control of your board anymore. But it's just that if you look at Henderson, Trent, and Salah, that triangle, he loved that. He loved triangles. Obviously, every manager loves triangles, but when you can get to a point where you can work those out, he was he was waxing lyrical about Naby for that. So it looks like it could be Keita, but I would be happy with Milner in terms of that. But score predictions, I don't know. I think 2-1 is like the standard scoreline for anything. I think we can win 1-0. I'm just going to go 1-0, and I think the ways in which we described that we would score, I think we can get a pen out of this game. I also think Suarez can get a pen out of this game. So 2-1 is probably the safe scoreline. I think we can win though, but I would be happy with a draw.
Expect some time wasting from the first minute, just quietly. Expect some time wasting straight away off the bat. Expect people going down at the breath of at the sound of your breath, like a little down.
Suarez,
breath, hold it hot, like that. I think we got to understand that we need to ride that. Like, I think if we start getting frustrated, because we've seen some of our players get frustrated, like Mane gets frustrated really quickly. We see Henderson get frustrated really quickly. Robbo, Trent, we just got to be really careful and not to buy into that and fall into that trap, because once we emotionally give in, because that's basically what we're doing, if we give in to that kind of that shithousery, if you want to call it that, then mentally they already got an advantage over us because it means you're falling for it. Do you know what I mean? I think if we can just stay mentally clear and totally understand that this will be happening from the first minute of the match, then we're going to be okay. We've got to understand that we've got to do what we do best. And I truly think that getting the ball wide with our front three kind of staying a bit more narrow to occupy their back three, to leave the space for your Robos, for your Trents. I think that's the key to winning this match, and I think we end up winning 2-1, or we leave 1-1.
Yeah, I would be more than happy with 1-1. I'm okay with the draw here because we're in good shape in that group game. And again, I'm not in no, sorry. I was going to be. What happens is when a comment comes in, it pushes everything up, so you can click the wrong one. But I'm a little bit in. No, it happened again, Pete. I tried to put that. Just keep pushing it up there. Beating Manchester United is also my jam. I think we can really put the nail in the coffin for them. And yeah, I want to stick it to Cristiano Ronaldo a little bit, ruin that honeymoon return. But anyway, guys, that's been the training ground here for this week. Thanks so much for joining us live here for this one. Remember to like the video if you did enjoy this. Make sure to subscribe if you are a new viewer. I think we're on. What are we on now, Pete? You know the subscriptions every single day.
We're over 450 now. We're over 450, and we're on the road to 500. So if you haven't subscribed to the show, yeah, please subscribe. And if you know what, if you've got Liverpool fans as friends, family, and just spread the word, get them to subscribe. We're trying to do a lot more work, as you've seen, with the tactical boards. We're trying to do a lot more. There's a lot of cool shows coming your way, a lot of cool guests. So we're really trying to make sure that our content is kind of different to everybody else's out there.
Yeah, so please make sure to subscribe. Tell your friends, give us another subscribe. Make a fake channel, make a fake account, and subscribe from there. That's the best way to do it. That's what I've done. I've got 4 accounts following us. No, I'm just joking. I actually don't. I've only got 1. But yeah, anyway, that's been the training ground. We do predict a very tough game against Atletico. We think it might be a 2-1 or a 1-1. That sounds like what's the consensus is going on. We've given you ways in which we can break them down. We've shown how Atletico can possibly attack us. But we think that we can hopefully deal with it if they do the things that we say, and we think that we can score. Again, if they do the things that we say. See you later, guys.